Hello, I'm Josh Burns. Thank you for joining us today at Unshaken Truth. Today, we have the opportunity to talk to the Death Row Angels. We have Dani and Linda with the Death Row Angels here today with us in studio. And we're going to talk to them about the work that they do with death row inmates in Texas. And actually, even across the country, people look to them for help now, but they're based here in Texas. And we're just going to find out more about them and their mission and their important work. And if you're interested, how we can get involved in helping them, how we can get involved in funding. Funds are seriously needed for these ladies for the work that they do. There are so many things logistically happening with death row inmates and their families behind the scenes that nobody is there to do. And nobody is caring to do. And these ladies stand in the gap, and they serve these families in amazing ways. So I just wanted to give everybody the opportunity to hear about their organization, what they're doing, and what their needs are, and how we can all help. So thanks for joining us today. Thanks for listening. With that, I'm going to introduce you to Dani and Linda these are the Death Row Angels. Thank you both for being with us today. It's great having you with us.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about Death Row Angels, how long you guys have been doing this, and how it all got started. And what?
Well, it got started in 2017.
Uh-huh.
We were both on the prison show.
Yeah.
And Ray Hill, who a lot of people in the Houston area are familiar with him. But Ray Hill dubbed us the Death Row Angels because of the work that we do. And just to give you a little Cliff Note version of what we do, when someone enters death row, we usually write to them, let them know what we're about. So during the years that they're on death row, we access legal work for them, because as everyone knows, a state-appointed attorney is the state's attorney. So they're getting paid by the same state that's trying to kill them. So they do not give a lot of the legal work to them. So they reach out to us to help them.
Yeah.
Now, we can no longer mail it in, but what we can do is do snippets from their filings, their rulings, and put it in an e-message. And when you get down to if they get an execution date, we stand with them. We get their families, which we've been doing all through their stay more than likely.
Mm-hmm.
We get their families over there to visit them. We help them with commissary. There is a program called eCom that we can get them packages to help them, like basic hygiene, deodorant, shampoo, things like that.
Amazing.
So, yeah. So through the years, we're getting them that. But towards the end, when they have an execution date, it's important that their families be involved.
Mm-hmm.
And we, sometimes we even put money on their account so they can have the funds to call their mom.
Right.
Or their sister, or, we do that.
Yeah.
And we pay for the cremation if we know ahead of time. We've even paid for a grave marker. He was buried at the Texas prison cemetery. However, we had the money to put a marker on his grave, a nice one.
Wow. Yeah.
So obviously not a fancy one, but
sure.
just something other than what the prison does.
Which is just their number,
The
right?
number, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a name behind that.
There's
number.
a name on there in the date of death.
Yeah.
So we make sure that, and if anyone's in the Huntsville, Texas area, I encourage you to go to the James Byrd Prison Cemetery.
Wow. Yeah.
Because
It's beautiful. It's
beautiful.
Very peaceful.
Yeah.
They manicure it, but you can look at the different crosses, because back in the 30s, 40s, they have crosses there that have been there since, and they have an X, meaning they were executed.
Wow.
So we're trying to collect money to help them, help their families, and when their families come, their families also have to eat.
Sure.
Yeah.
They have to, go back and forth to the prison.
Yeah.
There's so many things involved, and when
Hmm.
you're as everyone knows, when you're talking about prison, 9 times out of 10, they don't have money.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that's a big thing I think that people don't understand, that you guys know, and I know as an exonerated man and being in the system, that oftentimes people that get caught up in the system are people that are downtrodden, people that have come from rough homes or rough upbringings, or maybe their family just never had any means to provide well. And so these family members too, they don't have the funds, they don't have the money, and they're trying to desperately stay connected to this loved one for as long as they have them, because we all know that if someone has an execution date, time is precious and time is a commodity that we can't recreate. So they're trying to allow these loved ones and these inmates to have the time that they need together, because it's precious. A clock is ticking with an execution date, and these ladies are standing in the gap and making sure that these families can connect. And I think that that's just beautiful, because these are human beings, like we've talked about, and I've said it so many times on this podcast platform. With the death penalty, these are image bearers of God, created in God's own image, men and women who are created in God's own image, and God is the decider of when life ends. And God is the giver and the taker of life, and putting that in the hands of wicked men. And when I say wicked men, we live in a fallen, sinful world, and I don't think that the government should ever have that responsibility on their shoulders to be able to determine who is redeemable or not. We've seen it time and time again in the system, not just men and women on death row, but in the prisons that have life sentences. We've seen these people transform and become amazing, amazing human beings who would be huge contributors to society. You know, I visit Robert Robertson here in Texas on death row, and when I go and see Robert, here I thought, here I thought when I was going to see him that I was going to bless this man, and hopefully I am a blessing to him. I think I am, but what I realized is he blesses me. I leave that place and I feel like I just came out of my men's Bible study. Robert has a message written down with Bible commentaries, scripture verses, and hope, and just he's not filled with bitterness. He's not filled with anger. He's a forgiving, loving, gentle person who is just it. So I guess I'm rambling a little bit. What I'm trying to tell folks is we have a lot to learn from these people. These are human beings. If we just sat down and talked to them, you would realize we're dealing with extraordinary people who have a lot to offer. And I just thank you both for standing in the gap and making sure that these families can connect that way, because these are human beings. And so tell us, how can people help, and how can people best get involved in helping you guys in your
So, people can help us, first of all, by sharing what we stand for.
yeah.
We can you imagine? And while I understand that most of them have committed heinous crimes,
Hmm.
I understand that. But can you imagine the anticipation of death,
Mm.
knowing that? And can you imagine knowing your son or daughter has a death date? The anticipation of that. So, and before anyone gets started, I understand the concept because I too am a victim.
Mhm.
My cousin was murdered.
Wow.
And he was like my brother. So I understand. I was also raped.
Wow.
So I get the victim side.
Yeah.
Linda had a brother in law on death row.
Yes.
Wow.
And both of us understand different aspects of it. And I guess we're here today because we want to make sure that people first understand there are people like us out
Mhm.
here. There are people trying to make a difference. We have, one group, Death Penalty Action, who handles a lot of petitions, and they go across the United States, making sure people understand what's going on. We have Gloria Ruback with the Texas Abolition Movement. She handles a lot of lobbying. She, just information. She handles that. Linda and I are part of the group that visits.
Yeah.
We visit, we try to make a difference on their conditions and their families.
Yeah.
So that's how we try to make a difference. And we ask that you share this podcast, share our GoFundMe,
Yep.
share, anything you'd like. Make sure that people understand that we're just trying to make a difference.
Absolutely.
And, as everyone knows, um, Jesus said to visit those in prison.
That's right.
Yes.
He did.
did.
He did
Yep.
to feed the hungry
Yep.
and clothe the poor.
That's right. That's right. It's right there clearly in scripture. So, to that end, I wanted to tell folks that their GoFundMe page is linked to all of our social media pages. If you go to unshakentruth.com at the top, on the top right corner, you'll see links to our Facebook, our Instagram, our TikTok, our X page. All our social medias have the Death Row Angels GoFundMe page. Or if you just get online and go to GoFundMe's website and type in Death Row Angels, that their GoFundMe will come up and you'll see it. They need funds. It's not just for cremating remains for families. They handle so many different logistics in visiting inmates. When you visit an inmate, they're driving for hours and hours, and they're using money out of their own pockets. Linda's on a fixed income. She's retired, and they need funds. They're also doing things like helping family members get to Texas to visit their loved ones, and driving hours to pick them up at airports, and then driving them down to the Polunsky unit in Livingston, Texas, so that they can visit their loved ones. So there's just so many logistical things that are going on behind the scenes that we can't even fathom, that they're dealing with on a daily basis to make sure that these men and women are able to connect with their loved ones and have these visits, because like we said, time is of the essence. Time is precious, and they're trying to allow for them to have that time together. So there's just so many different ways. So we just encourage everyone to get on GoFundMe. On GoFundMe, you can set up to be, like a monthly donor if you're able to commit to $100 a month, $25 a month, anything. Just even folks that can just give a little bit, that can go into a gas fund for picking up loved ones at the airport and getting them over to death row. There's just so many different things. So just want to encourage everybody to follow them on their social media platforms as well. And then if you can commit to giving, and if you can't give, share their GoFundMe across your social media pages and encourage others to give. But just giving that way, spreading the message, spreading the message of what they're doing is a way that you can give back as well. So there's so many different ways we can ask you to help here, and that we do ask you to help, because there aren't very many people out there doing this work. And I talked to a man, an exonerated man from death row. He spent 22 years on death row, and I met him at an Innocence Network conference recently. He said something really interesting to me. He said, women are incredible, because he said, if you look at the prison system on a Saturday morning, it's not a bunch of men lined up outside of a prison to go in and visit somebody. It's a group of women and children, moms, grandmas, advocates, and typically it's 90% of the time it's women that are going in and showing these men love. And he was talking to me about how extraordinary that is to see that, having to go through the humiliation of being searched and all the process of just getting back there to see somebody and care for them. It's women like this that are doing it. And that really struck me that, for for us guys out there, we need to pick up some of this. We need to pick up some of this because these women are they're they're stronger than us. I mean, my wife proved it in childbirth, that she's stronger than me. She can endure so much more pain than I can. But you guys are incredible. I just thank you for doing that and for standing in the gap for these men and women and their family members. What can you guys tell us? I know that our listeners are very, for people that have never visited death row, can you guys tell us a little bit about what a visit is like on Texas death row? Because people are always asking things like, can you, give them a hug? Can you, tell us about the visit and the process and what's it like?
I can tell
Yeah.
a good story. In 2014, I was on the prison show, and
Yep.
I got a letter from a guy that had been in prison on death row for 3 years and never had a visit.
Mm.
And he said, "Is there anyone in your organization that could come and visit me?" He said, "I would love to have a visit." So I wrote him and I told him, "I'll come see you. This is my information." We have to give him our name, our address, it's on our driver's license number. And then he put me on his list. Well, the first time I went to see him, he was a angry young man. He was angry. He was angry because he felt like what had happened to him, he should not have been on death row.
Mm.
But and I told him I don't judge, so whatever you want to tell me about your case or whatever is fine.
Yeah.
And he did. He told me about his case. Well, within the time that I've been seeing him since 2014, now it's 2026.
Yeah.
He is a changed person completely. I mean, he knows that his crime, that he deserves to be in prison,
Mm-hmm.
but he also realizes that he should not be put to death. And there's things that, we're trying to work on, trying to get him to be moved to, life in prison
Yeah.
with possibility of parole, but we don't know how that's going. But I'm just saying, you can see the change in these guys, and that I know if he ever got out, he would never do anything again.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
some that would,
Mhm.
that I would never want to seek out, but the majority of them change.
Yep. That's right.
But you need to sit down and visit them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's when you first walk in and they search you.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them are a little bit like, really,
Mhm.
And one case that really struck me is she was a teenager. Her dad was being executed, and she was like 15. She had on a bra that had underwire. They made her go into a restroom with an officer and take off that bra to prove that she didn't have anything.
Horrible.
And,
Yeah.
her dad's being executed,
Mm.
and you're doing that. So
Yeah.
the searching is a little,
Mhm.
and then when
Yeah.
you go in, if you know them, you can buy them what they want.
Right.
If you don't, or you're unsure, then you wait and then you go get their food when you're allowed to, because sometimes you get the food and
Yes.
they won't let you give it to them. So
Wow.
you got to wait for the officers.
Yep.
But it's, and then you just sit down. You can't touch them.
Yeah. Behind the glass, right?
They're behind the
Yes.
glass.
Yep.
And even the phones that they have,
Oh, yeah.
it distorts their voice. So
Right.
you never really know what their true voice sounds like
Right.
until maybe they can call you now.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
for years, it was, even when Billy Wardlow was executed. He was executed in the pandemic.
Yeah.
We went, but when it was back then, there was no phones, there was no e-messaging, there was just handwritten letters,
Mm.
handwritten, and I couldn't visit because it was the pandemic.
Wow.
So there was nothing until those 3 days that we
Wow.
get to visit during an execution.
Oh.
And even then, they take you out at noon. on the day of. They bring you to Huntsville,
Hmm.
the person being executed, and then they, they all of that. And to say that it's so impersonal, everything
Yeah.
that the officers are doing is
Right.
so impersonal.
Yeah.
Yes.
The way they
Yep.
treat them, the
Hmm.
way they treat the family members,
Yeah.
everything is so impersonal. And sometimes it's very, yeah, I maybe not so much rude, it's just inconsiderate.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It just it seems like I guess what I think of is it's like adding insult to injury.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
Here you already have a person who's about to lose their life, and then, hey, let's strip search a 15-year-old.
Thank you.
I
And
mean,
can
really,
you imagine how
really,
he felt knowing
yeah,
his daughter?
right, yeah. You guys, the prison show does a live stream on execution days, right on the curb there outside of Huntsville. Can you guys talk about what happens on execution day, how that process is?
Well, it really depends on, what part we're playing. Because if I'm on the corner doing the Facebook Live, I immediately go to Huntsville after work,
Yeah,
and she is usually there. Now, if we are attending an execution, if they're one of our friends, uh, you have to go to a hospitality house. That's what they call it,
right.
hospitality house.
That's right across the street,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
and
Yeah,
where
1 block away. Yeah.
you're required. You are required to go. Even though you've heard it before, they still require you to go.
mm,
And they explain to you what's going to transpire.
mm,
And the very first time I witnessed, it was Mr. Rayford. And they told me that it was going to be pain, they weren't going to feel anything.
mm,
Mr. Rayford was going to be fine. He wasn't going to feel, he was just going to go to sleep. That's not what happened.
right.
And it was my first time
Mhm.
uh, being a witness.
Mm,
And when we were walking out, I asked the chaplain, it was a woman chaplain, and I'm like, well, what just happened? You said, and she said, and she patted me on the back and said, it sometimes happens. What do you mean sometimes happens?
yeah.
Like, how often does it sometime happen?
Hmm.
And I mean,
Yeah.
like, Linda's been in there when it's burned, when they've
When
said
they
it's
say it's
burned.
burning, I'm burning.
Hmm.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's nothing.
Hmm.
With Billy, he just stared at me with a smile and went to sleep.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But then you have the ones who struggle. So on the day of execution, they talk to us at the hospitality house. Then they bring you over to the administration building,
Yeah.
and at that point, you go into a room and you wait to find out. Sometimes, Mr. Rayford, we didn't find out till like 8:30 or 9. Um, Sometimes it's quick,
Hmm.
or you already know it's
Hmm.
going to happen. But at that point, you're waiting for the Supreme Court to make a ruling.
Right.
And sometimes I know with Robert, it was really late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10,
That
10,
second
10,
one,
10, 15 that night.
he told me about that day, and that's just hearing that
Can you imagine?
chilled
So,
me to the
and it's not
bone.
even,
Yeah.
it's Robert,
Yeah.
or it's the person being executed in that room
Yeah.
at the Walls unit. However, the family and friends are over here in this building, and you don't know what's going
You have
on.
no idea what's going
Right.
on.
All
And
Yeah.
you're
you
like,
hear is
yeah.
a phone ring.
Phones.
And it's in the movies that's what happens, and it does happen.
Yeah.
All you hear is a phone, and then they walk back over and they say, it's time, follow me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Wow.
you follow them, and then it's another process. You have to walk across the street,
Yep.
go into the building, give them your ID, go into another room,
Yeah.
and you sit there for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And even when you go into the room for the execution, you know, when Billy was executed, their solution during the pandemic was just to open the door in the back. And there's like 10 people in there. There's a lot of officers, and it's just a small little narrow
It's a
room.
little room.
It's
Right?
Yeah.
long, but it's narrow.
Hmm.
So their solution was to open the back for the pandemic.
Wow.
I was like, what the hell? But they've
Yeah.
rebuilt it now. So you go into a room and they say their last words, and then the the drug starts, but they make you wait
20 minutes.
20
20
minutes
minutes.
until they so
You're not
you
allowed to leave, right?
no,
No.
Yeah.
but the doctor doesn't come in to pronounce them dead for 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Wow.
So we
And
stand
that's
there.
the longest 20 minutes of your
Oh,
life.
I
You're
can
just
only
waiting
imagine.
and waiting, and
Mm,
and then you think about the moms, the grandmothers, the children.
yep.
Can you imagine what they're going? They're in the administration building waiting for that phone to ring, and then you're waiting in that room watching your father
Mm,
or your mother. They executed Susan Basso. She obviously a woman.
yeah.
She was paralyzed from the neck down. Paralyzed. Was she a continuing threat?
Doesn't
No.
sound like it.
No, they executed her. And it's just so that's why when Linda was talking about Chuck and how they treated them at the funeral home, it's like
Yeah.
he wasn't a threat. He was dead.
Yeah.
You killed him.
And then you throw them in the corner.
And
And
then
why
you
couldn't he be with all the rest of the people,
Right.
Right.
that
Eh,
were in there? And the other people asked us when we went out. They said, what went on in your room? What were y'all there for? And I
Right.
said, well, it was a death row inmate executed,
Yeah.
and they didn't want him out there with all of y'all. And they said, why? Did they think he was going to jump out of the coffin or what? I said,
Right.
I don't know. I
Ridiculous.
said, I have no
It
idea.
is.
Yeah.
So they execute a woman who's paralyzed from the neck down
Yeah.
Mhm.
because they think she's a continuing threat to society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our friend Carl Bunton was
Yeah.
74.
Mm.
He was so frail.
Yeah.
He had to be picked up and put on the gurney.
Wow.
He was in a wheelchair.
Couldn't even get on the gurney on his
No.
own power.
No. And
Hmm.
they executed him.
Mhm.
And when we walked out
Uh,
of the building, they said there was a couple of dozen cops. No. There was like a sea, like 200
probably 200 cops there.
cops.
Yeah, cat clapping, drinking alcohol,
And they were drinking alcohol.
and
Absolutely.
and gunning their motorcycles,
Vroom, vroom.
and just disrespectful to
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Totally.
I mean, totally. And they allowed that.
they allow
Yeah,
that.
they
Yeah.
they
And then
did.
we had one lady in our group that flipped the finger,
Yeah, she flipped them
Oh.
And
off.
and she was a professor at University of
Texas.
Texas.
Uh-huh.
They let her go because
It made the news.
because it made the news that what she did. So they
But it didn't make the news what they were doing
course.
to
what the cops were
us.
doing
Of
to
course.
us.
Yeah, that's the part they
Yes.
leave out. And that just that makes me sick to my stomach to think about the mentality that we have in Texas right now of
Yes.
they are hell bent in Texas of having this tough on crime
Mhm.
reputation.
Yes.
This tough on crime reputation, and the fact that prosecutors and judges and governors and attorney generals, it's actually a part of their reelection platform. I've
Yes.
executed so many people, and all I can think of is a Christian and a man who I try to live my life the best I can in a fallen world, and I'm not perfect. We're all sinners, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
But I try to live my life to glorify and honor God. And I think about these politicians and these people campaigning on that kind of a platform, and then I read my Bible, and it talks about those in power and the strict account and the answers that they're going to have to give
Mhm.
in the highest court. In the highest court, yeah.
So bringing that up is a perfect example. I am Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up Catholic.
Yeah.
Greg Abbott is Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
The Pope has come out against the death penalty.
Yeah.
Greg Abbott's office told the Death Penalty Action Group that he would not support ending the death penalty because not enough Catholics were against it. Not enough Catholics. Okay, so we're reelecting this person probably. Then
Yeah.
you look at Ken Paxton.
Mm.
I have a very good friend on death row.
Yep.
And I call him my bestie. He's my bestie.
Yeah.
I had to tell him that Ken Paxton wrote a letter to the judge, the federal judge, and requested that his case move forward so he can be executed. Ken Paxton's office did that, and he's
Wow.
done it to quite a few people.
Yeah.
Lately, he's trying. So,
Yeah.
piggybacking what you said,
Yeah.
it's the politicians. They are like, hey, let's
Yep.
get this done because it's re-election year. Let's come on, because he
Yeah.
did that last year.
Right. We need some more. It's sick. That's yeah. Don't even get me started on Ken Paxton. I'll probably get arrested. But
Me too. I'll be
Yep.
right by you.
We'll all
Yep.
go to jail.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I just to play fast and loose with lives that way.
Yes.
That's what they're doing, and
They don't care.
they don't care. And I challenge our fellow Texans and our citizens in this country. And that's the question I always ask people when I and I don't like getting into spirited debates over the death penalty, but I do like to have some thought. I will get into thought-provoking conversations with people. And one thing I ask is, the question I'll say to a supporter of the death penalty, I'll say, how many innocent people are you okay with being executed? And they'll say, well, none. And I'll say, well, then we got somewhere that's a starting point. Praise God. Let's keep talking, because if you're not okay with anyone that's innocent being executed, I'm here to tell you it's happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to tell you that it's happened already. So I'm not sure that you support the death penalty the way that you think you do. And, you can start that dialogue with somebody. And we've talked to Nan Tolson on this podcast, who's with conservatives concerned about the death penalty, and she's doing amazing work, and she's bringing up those thought-provoking conversations with people who, I grew up in a Christian home, and we were always taught that the death penalty is biblical. And
Yeah.
now that my views have been challenged, and I look at this and I go, that's a lie. It's not biblical. It's not something that I think Jesus would condone. If people want to go back to the Old Testament scriptures and say, under the Mosaic law, it's an eye for an eye. It's just, well, if we're going to go back to the Mosaic law, then you can't cherry pick and say the death penalty is okay. If we were going back to the Mosaic law, then that would mean that all women should be wearing head coverings, and we've given up all that other stuff. So you don't get to cherry pick and say, well, we can dress the way we want now, but we can still kill people. It's an eye for an eye. That was Old Testament Mosaic law, but Jesus Christ was born a man, came into this world, lived without sin, and then died on the cross for all of our sins. And he wiped that law clean by doing so. He abolished the Mosaic law completely. So I can't hold to that false theological narrative anymore that the death penalty is biblical. And I've been able to talk to people in my own church about that still believe that and say, wait a minute, let's talk about these things. So these are important things to talk about. And again, we're not here to debate the death penalty with people. And we know, and these ladies will be the first to tell you, and they say it all the time, that they don't judge the victims, the family's victims, and they are victims. These ladies themselves have been victims. So they understand that, and nobody is trying to make light of that or anything. It's just that we're realizing the trauma, the fallout of actually killing a person responsible for something that happened to another loved one. There is no closure.
No.
There is no, when you talk to somebody years down the line who's witnessed these executions, they're not at peace over it. It's interesting. There's a documentary out there, and it was one of the death row captains, and he witnessed like over 125 executions. It wrecked him emotionally.
It
would
does.
have
It wrecked
It
him.
does.
And he came on a documentary my wife and I were watching a couple weeks ago, and he's a complete death penalty abolitionist now.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he literally had a emotional breakdown at work.
Yeah.
after a woman was executed. I forget who it was, but it struck him so hard. He went home to his wife just in tears, hands trembling, a panic attack, and had to say, I can never go back.
Yeah.
He gave up his pension, and just
It's
the trauma.
when you, although we're not the ones executing someone,
Right.
we are taxpayers.
Yes.
So they're doing it in our name.
In our name. Yes.
And I say this out when we're out on that corner. We do not rape the rapist.
Right.
We do not steal from the thieves. Why do we kill the killers? It's just violence.
Yeah.
It's a circle of violence.
Yeah.
And if you believe in what the media says, a lot of people look at their cases, what the media says about the cases.
Right.
You cannot choose to believe this about their cases, but not believe, oh, that's fake news.
Right.
You can't do that.
Right.
Because it's the same news group doing both.
Yep.
So.
And, on the death certificate where it says the, cause of death,
Yeah.
homicide.
I know.
Now,
I didn't know that
are we to
until-
murder people that
Right.
we're killing somebody that murdered somebody, but we're doing the same thing to them?
I didn't know that till recently. Tiana Brodnick's
Yeah.
made me aware of that. She
Yeah.
showed me her
Yes.
husband's death certificate.
Yeah, we've got death certificates
Yes.
from
And it
inmates.
just floored me.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's like a secret that they want to keep.
They
kind of.
do.
Absolute-
They don't want you
absolutely.
to see that and I
They don't
feel
want
like
you-
people need to know that.
They don't
like,
want you to know
we're-
who the doctor is.
Right.
Because the doctor's not supposed to be
Yeah.
doing these things. He's
Right.
not supposed to be
But-
signing the death certificates.
Right. We're curious as to the people who are actually putting the needles in.
Right.
It's like you yourself, you may not be pushing.
Yeah.
It may be automated.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Even now they're doing firing squad.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Right.
And
Yes.
the last gentleman that was executed by firing squad, it's like there's 3 men, or they could be a woman, I don't know. They aimed for the heart, but they didn't. They got around it, so he
Oh.
suffered.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
the cruel and unusual punishment, we're
Mhm.
supposed to be
Yes.
above, as a society, we're supposed to be above
Right.
doing these things.
Yeah. Yep.
And we're
Yeah.
no better than them.
Right. Yeah. There's been so many botched executions and
Yes.
and it's proven that, there's been some pathologists that have gone on the record and said, and they never want this to happen, but if we actually conducted a proper autopsy of somebody who was just given a
Mhm.
lethal injection, we would find out a pretty long story that when that injection goes in, it burns.
Burns.
Well,
It
they're purple.
burns.
Their
Yeah,
bodies turn
right.
purple.
Purple.
They are
and
awake.
They don't look
and-
normal.
Yeah, they're awake and gasping for air,
Yes.
Even the
fighting to
nitrogen,
breathe.
the
Yeah.
new gas
Mhm.
execution's horrible.
Horrible. Yeah. There's nothing humane about it. It's barbaric. It's like, have we just re-entered a Roman Colosseum? Is this what we do in
Mhm.
in a
Sounds
civil
like it.
society?
It sounds like people want that. And if you want it, why don't you attend an
Mhm.
execution? I think Greg Abbott, Kim Paxton,
They should all have to be there.
all of them.
Yep.
Of course, when that happens, when a bunch of the ranking officers attend executions, they have like a little buffet
Yeah, a
in there.
party.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a party. That's right. And they
Yep.
have cookies. The day Carl Bunton was executed, we were telling you about
Yeah.
the cops,
Yeah.
they were allowing the cops to go in and out of the building, getting juice, getting water, cookies, pastries.
Wow.
And they were on the pro-death penalty side. And I know this is a tender subject, when John King was executed, are you familiar with him?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
He was executed, and it was unlike any other execution because we were on the anti-death penalty. There were people on the pro-death penalty, and the pro had a lot of KKK people, which I didn't understand, but they were there.
Oh, wow.
Well, the people of color who came, they were making them come on our side, but they were for the execution. The officers were telling them to mix with us.
Mix with us.
Yeah,
Yes.
and they were getting in our faces.
Oh,
Yeah.
They
no.
were, and they did that on purpose. Now, when
Wow.
his fall partner Russell, he was executed in 2011, I believe,
Yeah.
or 2012.
Mm-hmm.
The comedian, he was really big with Richard Pryor. He came to the execution and sat down in the middle of the street, and he had all of these people of color around him, and he was advocating, we do not need to kill this man. This man needs to tell everyone what not to do. He needs to spread the word.
Yeah.
So it's
Mm.
you know, they don't, the administration doesn't care.
Right.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
If they would mix us with,
Right.
that was on purpose.
They did that on purpose.
To try to
Yes.
put you in harm's way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's sick.
It
That's
is.
sick.
Yes.
And now
Mhm.
the crime was horrendous.
Mm-hmm.
It really was. But that's when you get into, they put John King in prison when he was 16. They threw
Right.
him in an adult prison.
Sure. Sure.
And, you
Yep.
know, when
Yeah.
you throw a child
Mm-hmm.
into an adult prison, what do you think's going to
Going to
happen?
happen to that
Yeah.
person. Yeah. And that's another thing that I wish our society could understand, and we could properly reform things in our system, in our so-called system of justice, is that these men and women that commit these heinous crimes, they have a history, and you just said it there, Dani. I mean, put a 16-year-old boy, he's not even a man yet, put in a men's prison. What do you, yeah, we don't have, I mean, come on, folks. You don't even have to spend time in the prison system to know. We all know what happened to him there. We all know what he was subjected to.
Mhm.
And what do you think that's going to do to a person? What do you think the fallout from that is? Even the most controversial cases, there's a man who just entered death row recently, super controversial case here in Texas. Even his case, you look back into his history and the things he saw as a child. His mother was a prostitute.
His mother reached out to me.
Wow.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. The things that he had to see. So what, and I'm not trying to, even judge her. I don't know.
Mm,
That was probably her only way of providing.
Could
I
be.
don't, we don't know, right? But for a boy to have to see these things, and the horrific things that they see, I just think we have to take those things into account and say, wait a minute, society left this person in the dust, a downtrodden
mhm.
person that needed help, didn't get it. How do we mitigate that and stop that from happening?
Well,
That's the
and
bigger question.
that is the
Yeah.
bigger question. And then we're going to spend all this money on his death penalty case when that money could have gone previously to help him as a boy.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're wasting, and some people say execute him within the first week. We've had 200 people exonerated from death
Mhm.
row.
Yeah, we can't
One
do
is
that.
too many.
Right.
One is too many. And we all
Yeah.
know there's been innocent people executed.
Absolutely there has. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah, we
it,
know it. Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing. And, I've chatted with him a little bit, and he just wanted to get a hold of his grandmother and his mom. That's, can you help me?
Mm.
And it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
just because we reach out to these men and women doesn't mean we condone their crimes.
No. Yeah.
No.
There's a big difference there. It's, again, yeah, this is a human being. This is a person with a family. This is a person with a history, and what brought him to this point. It's important, I think. I told you both, you can see from the backdrop of my history library behind us. I'm a history buff. I love history. And I think history is so important, because to not repeat the same mistakes over and over again, the definition of insanity, right? Repeat the same thing over and over again and hope for a different result. If we learn from our history, that means learning from these inmates' histories too. What happened to them? What brought them to this point? And making that a legitimate part of the conversation, and a legitimate part of exploring how we make changes instead, it's just round them up, throw them in, and execute them as quickly as we can get them off this planet. And that is sloppy. It's, that's not tough on crime. That's stupid on crime.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be smart on crime. And being smart on crime means that we figure out why, what led to this. And that requires going into a person's actual history. So history is so important. And if we're not going to, if we can't get to that point, it's just, we have no starting point to work with. They have to understand that. And I just hope and pray that we can get men and women in this country who will take the lead and understand that we're dealing with human beings here, and we're dealing with people who have been forgotten in society. And I just thank you both for not allowing these people to be forgotten, not allowing, our government to just lock them away and say, you're nothing, you mean nothing to anyone anymore. You're both bringing them that hope and bringing them that something that every human being deserves is a little bit of love and care.
Compassion.
And compassion. Yeah.
And we appreciate, thank you so much for having us on.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much.
We really want to get the word out, what we do. And if you want to join us in this, definitely reach out to Linda or I.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you both for what you do. It's so important that, it's easy for us to turn a blind eye. It's easy for us to just pretend this stuff isn't there. And one quote that I think of in closing here, and there's a quote by a man. He says that the only thing necessary for evil to prevail is for good men and women to do nothing. So thank you for standing up. Thank you for doing something, because we can't be silent in the face of evil.
No.
We can't turn a blind eye. We can't not speak. Because when we do, we are speaking when we're silent. We're saying that it's okay. And so I just want to leave us with those thoughts today, that we have to stand up, we have to speak, and we have to let everybody know, hey, we see these men and women, we hear them. They are people, and they are image bearers of God, and they deserve to have compassion and some dignity. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. Unshaken Truth's first season will drop new episodes on most Thursdays and will be available on YouTube, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. Links to episodes and other materials are available on the show's website at unshakentruth.com. Listeners can contact us through the Justice Corner on our website, named after my dog Justice.